guys, Happy New Year. I know it is January 12th, but better late than never. I have been very busy since January 1st. So hence a belated Happy New Year. So I have played a lot of games over video chat in the last, I don't know, 10 months since March. I don't know how many months that is. Since we've gone on lockdown basically, and people have been minimizing social contact with other people. At first I started playing games on Board Game Arena, Tabletop Simulator, and Tabletopia, and those are all great options. I personally prefer playing with an actual board game. The tactile part of board games is a huge reason, one of the huge reasons why I love board games so much. I love being able to pick up pieces, pick up cards, and just touch the board game and feel the board game. Okay, that sounds a bit weird, but so I really wanted to be able to play board games over video chat. So since March, I've played a number of them over video chat, and every time I've done so, people have asked me how it works, like how I am able to play that certain game over video chat. So I thought I would go and make a list and go from most difficult to easiest to play over video chat. So starting with the most difficult that I have played is Abomination: The Heir of Frankenstein. This is a worker placement game where you are a doctor trying to create your own monster, and you are going around Paris collecting body parts, collecting blood and bones and all these other things. There are event cards as well, so the way we did it is each person set up the board entirely in front of them, and you will also have the other person's workers on hand so that when someone goes to a certain location, you will move their worker to that location to indicate it has been taken. You do need to make certain compromises when you are playing games such as Abomination or other worker placement games. If someone picked up a resource card from a certain location, we would not then, the other person would not go through their stack of cards to indicate whether, to show that, okay, this one has been taken. Locations where a certain card is showing, though, that we would make sure is the same on both of our boards. But if you are blindly drawing a card, it doesn't matter if you get a card that someone else already happened to draw. And you would, of course, make sure that the special event cards and everything like that are the same on both boards. The important thing about playing a worker placement over video chat is to be very vocal about what you are doing. You have to be very vocal about, saying, okay, I did this action, and this is, I'm moving my worker here, so the other person can do the same on the board, and just keep track of things that way. So that was the most difficult, but it can be done. The next one is Architects of the West Kingdom, also another worker placement. Again, you need to be very vocal about what you are doing, so we both had the board set up in front of us entirely. And in this one, like for example, if Jan was going to take my workers to prison or whatever, he would do that, and I would do the same thing. Like I would indicate on my board, okay, this is how many workers of mine he's putting in the prison, and we would just basically mimic whatever the other person is doing. In this one, the compromise we made was we did not care if the other person would be building the same building. There's only so much you can do when you are playing a worker placement over a video chat, and in order to keep certain elements of surprise, we cannot go through and, create a deck that is entirely the same for both people, because that would ruin the surprise of when you draw a card, when you don't know what that next card is. So in this case, we decided it does not matter if someone builds the same building as someone else. But otherwise, it worked very well, and, you just need to be willing to make a couple of compromises when you play games like that over video chat. And in the same vein, Dune Imperium is another worker placement. This one, we did indicate which cards were on top of the board that could be drawn, and otherwise, yeah, I think that was, it worked really well. You just need to, again, to be vocal about what you're doing, and the other person will move all the meeples as well. The next game I have on the list is Dreamscape. This is not a worker placement game, it's more of an action selection game. You have a sleeper who is going through this dream world, trying to take actions. Again, just be very vocal. It's also a pattern building game, so there were cards that we had to draw about which patterns we are trying to create on our own dream board. If I remember correctly, I do think that if someone drew a certain pattern card, we would remove that from the deck. So, we each had the deck shuffled, and if we drew a card, we'd be like, okay, this is the card I drew, and then that person would indicate that. But I think that was really it. Otherwise, very it was easy to play over video chat for the most part, I remember. You know, you would just be vocal about where you're placing Mr. Nightmare, if you have to place him, and where your worker is going, but it worked well. Next one, Tasty Humans. Tasty Humans is a very crunchy tiling game. Super crunchy. This one I put up towards the top because it is very tedious to set up. So when you are setting up this game, pulling out the tiles that you need for the top part of the board, I can't remember what it's called, and then having the cards in the grid where you select the various people or whatever they are. You know, it's been a long time since I've played this game. I had played it maybe 3 times over video chat, but it was a long time ago. It's hard for me to remember exactly what we were doing, but I just remember it was very tedious setup. But once you get going, it is fine. And again, this is one of those games where you really are just focusing on your own board. You're focusing on your monster's own stomach, because you're eating humans and you're just trying to score the most points, and it works well over video chat. The next game, Disney Villainous, that I have had the pleasure of playing a number of times with the Villainous King, Joker Jonesy. This one is easy to play over video chat. The only difficulty I would say is when you are using the fate action against someone. So when you fate someone, they have to hold up their 2 cards from their own fate deck and indicate what your options are. For me personally, I would always have the other player's board in front of me as well and indicate, you know, where their heroes and such are going. And for me, it helps personally to have the fate deck of the other player so that I can see them up close for myself, because you know, I like to have the cards in front of me. So I would just quickly go through the deck and find the 2 cards that are my options and then decide. But that one works really well over video chat as well. Next, I have Runica and the Six-Sided Spellbooks, which is a pattern building game. You're students at a school of magic, and you will be utilizing different professors and trying to complete rune cards and stuff on your own grid. So this one was a little bit tricky because the other player, when we would create a pattern on our board, we would basically take a picture and send it to the other person, because I don't have an overhead camera. So that was the only tricky part. I would take a picture and show the other person, okay, I've completed this. And I think that's like really the only difficult part in this game, really. If someone was utilizing a certain professor, no big deal. You would just move their token to that professor to show that they have used that professor. So pretty easy. Horrified. I think this is the only co-op game I have on my list, and I played it about 2 weeks ago over video chat, and I really loved it. And again, you know, you have the board set up in front of you, both of the players. We both had it set up in front of us, and one person was in charge of, I think it's called a monster deck, I don't know. So my friend was in charge of that, and I was in charge of pulling out the tokens, the items from the bag, and placing them. So we were just, again, very vocal about what we're doing so that we can each show on the board and do the same thing. So anytime I placed an item somewhere, I would tell him what the item was and which location it goes at, and he would do the same thing. Anytime we had to make adjustments to the monsters, we would both do that. Anytime we moved our own people, we would both do that. Very easy to play over video chat. Next, Cartographers, which is flip and write. Again, very easy to play over video chat. Someone basically is flipping the cards, and then the other person, you know, you're just making, you know, drawing stuff on your own map. The only difficult part is when you have to hold up your map for the other person, for them to draw the monster. This is where I recommend that you use a laminated sheet with markers, which will show up much easier than a sheet with pencil on it. And then, you know, the person can just look at the sheet and be like, okay, I want the monster to start from B6, whatever. And they know what shape it is. They've, you know, you've held it up for them. So, and again, they can find it from their own deck if they want to. I realized I skipped over a couple. I don't know how I did that. Okay, so after Tasty Humans, I should have said Roman Roll. So this is more difficult. So let's backtrack a little bit. Roman Roll is difficult, I would say, to play over video chat, because though it is a roll and write, you do need to draw buildings on the board, the main board. as someone who always likes everything in front of me, David, I played with the designer of the game, David Turgsey, who is a friend, and he was in charge of drawing it on his own board. And it was a bit difficult for me to see. I wish the marker had been a little bit darker. So that was really the only difficulty, I think, if I recall. Otherwise, it was fine. And I forgot to mention Tiny Towns, which I had above Disney Villainous. Tiny Towns is another game that is very easy to play over video chat. I had the pleasure of playing with the AEG folks twice over the summer when they were doing their whole Tiny Towns every day thing, and that was really fun. The only thing I think, you know, you would need to maybe be worried about is monuments. Like maybe if you want everyone to have a different monument, just make sure that everyone has drawn a different monument and one person is flipping the resource cards. Otherwise, super easy to play over video chat. Okay, so let's go back. I did cartographers. Unmatched. So Unmatched is a skirmish game. Super easy to play over video chat. You have your own deck of cards that you are using. The only thing I would say, the only difficult part is if you both want the board facing the correct way in front of you, because I would be able to see the board on my friend's on my screen, my friend's board on my screen, and if I had it facing me and he had it facing him, then I would have to, like, you know, you figure out, okay, instead of going this way, it's actually going this way, the person's player. But super easy to play over video chat. And then finally, the game I have listed as being the most easiest to play over video chat is a recent addition to my collection, Dice Throne. Dice Throne is super easy to play over video chat. There are a number of different characters you can play. You're basically rolling dice and trying to inflict damage on your opposing players. It is super fun. I would say the only difficult part maybe is if someone is using a character that you don't have, so you might need to improvise and maybe like get a scrap piece of paper to indicate, you know, the certain tokens that they might want to place on your character, you know, to hinder your progress. So that is the only thing you might need to do. But you know, if you do have the other person's character, it's easy. It's, you know, it would be better for you to take it out and have their token set aside. So in case they want to place a certain token on you, you can do that. So those are all the games from difficult to most easy that I have ranked. And I'm going to go back and just quickly list all the games, and because I did have a couple out of order. So let's go. Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein was the most difficult I had. Architects of the West Kingdom, Dune Imperium, Dreamscape, Tasty Humans, Roman Roll, Tiny Towns, Disney Villainous, Runica and the Six-Sided Spellbooks, Horrified, Cartographers, Unmatched, and Dice Throne. So if you have any of these games, they are, you know, they can be played over video chat. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Some of them, you know, they've been a long time since I've played over video chat, so the details are a little bit murky. But again, the most important thing is for big worker placement games, you both need to have the board in front of you, as well as games like Dreamscape or Roman Roll. And you just need to be very vocal about what you are doing. You need to, you know, that's the most important thing when playing a game over video chat. Be very vocal so that everyone can indicate on their own board what is happening, and, you know, you won't lose track and you won't get confused. A few games that I have not played over video chat that I have in my collection that I do think would work well over video chat are Welcome to, of course, Quacks of Quedlinburg, Altiplano, Honeybuzz, The Search for Planet X, Fleet the Dice Game, and Chocolate Factory. So again, I haven't played any of those yet over video chat, so if any of you have those and want to play, let me know. But I do think that those will work well over video chat. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I know I went through this very quickly. I know that this is not a 1 minute long video, and I need to maybe learn how to slow down and give a bit more detail. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any suggestions of your own for games that can be played well over video chat, leave them down below in the comments for everyone to see. And feel free to give me some feedback. This is, like, you know, my first long video that isn't a weird unboxing video. I did 2 unboxing videos a long time ago, which were, you know, not that great. But yeah, so I do, you know, I would like to start making some longer form content. And so feel free to give me some feedback. And I think that is it. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful January, and until next time, bye.